Hi, my name is Dave Monty. Welcome to my video series, Everything Villages. Today I'm going to do a market update for the Villages. It is December 2025, so stay tuned. As always, before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. If you like this video, please hit like. If you like my channel, please subscribe to it. Both those actions help these videos reach more people, and I greatly appreciate it. Also, if you'd like a copy of my free 42-page guide, Buying and Selling a Home in the Villages, you can email me right here at davemontysales@gmail.com. I also have a pretty comprehensive cost of living calculator that you can also email me right here at davemontysales@gmail.com, and I'll send you out a copy. A little bit more housekeeping. I have plenty of other videos on my channel, anywhere from biggest bang for your buck, which I am actually, again, threatening to update another video, and if I have time, we'll get to it. But in the biggest bang for your buck, I am talking about how you can pick up a home for less expensive if it needs updating. We can help you update it, and you still get into it for a lot less than you would buying an already updated home. Again, I mentioned my cost of living calculator, understanding the two different markets here, pricing videos, what to bring on buying trips, pretty much a comprehensive channel about the real estate market here in the Villages. So quick overview of what's going on in the market before we get into the details. It does seem like the market has finally leveled off. We had been seeing decreasing pricing. We had been seeing increases of inventory, and all those would indicate that we are going towards a buyer's market pretty strongly. My feel over the last couple of months is that the pricing has finally leveled off, but it's hard to see it in the data because the data looks back a couple of months. But finally, I think the data is catching up to kind of the feel of the market that I've felt over the last few months. Again, pricing leveling off as well as inventories leveling off. So this slide was in my last market update, and it's still happening a little bit. Buyers are still putting a little too high of a price on their home. The homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer, and we're still seeing price reduction after price reduction to get to a price that the buyers are willing to pay. Now, earlier in the presentation, it said that things are leveling off. They are. The selling price has leveled off, but the original asking prices are still too high. The people that are selling their home quickly are listening to the realtors and pricing close to where the fair market value is and not trying to get COVID level pricing for their homes. But let's get to the numbers. Again, if you've seen my videos, you know what this is, but if you're brand new to my channel, this is probably one of the best indicators as to not necessarily the health, but where we are between buyers and sellers in the market. Months of inventory is a simple metric, which takes the amount of inventory we currently have on the market. You divide it by how fast homes have been selling, and then if no other home came on the market and it continued at the same exact pace, how many months would it take to sell the current inventory? During COVID, we were measuring months in days. That's how fast homes are moving. But currently we have 553 homes on the market. That's slightly down from the last marketing update I did. We've sold a few more homes per month on average. Again, that is up from the last time, and then months of inventory is down in that 3.6 range. Now, I always put in here the balanced market, at least what I was taught is 6 months of inventory, but in reality, it feels like a balanced market is closer to that 4 month of inventory, where it's not quite a seller's market or a buyer's market, it's kind of a neutral market. That last number, months of inventory, is a static number, but what is going on? And again, I'm going to point out, again, COVID, measuring months of inventory in a day. So, come out of COVID and it fluctuates, but you can see that the months of inventory started to climb. At the beginning of this year, we started to see the inventory starting to come down. And again, those inventories are leveling off here. This is a good sign that we're not continuing to decrease. Now, not 100% sure what's going to happen when we hit busy season. That's to be seen. Will we see inventories go back up? I think we'll see inventories increase. I know I have 5 or 6 clients right now that are waiting to busy season to put their homes on the market. So I do anticipate in January to see a big spike in inventory, which is good for buyers coming into town. New listings. This is kind of the interesting thing. The number of new listings coming on really has started to dip. And that's one of the reasons why the market, in my opinion, is starting to balance out here in the villages, is that a lot of sellers are saying, I do not like the prices that homes are selling at right now, so I'm going to wait. So if the client has an option, not forced by a health issue or other life events that may happen, people who have the option to sell or not are currently not opting to put their house on the market. So that has helped keep the inventories from kind of spiking or continuing to increase. So the number of sales, and I mentioned in one of my slides that has ticked up on average over the last few months. And you can kind of see it here. It's just slowly the number of homes is sold is starting to level off. I do think you'll continue to see the number of homes selling are going to be increasing over time, mainly because the area is growing rapidly. So the more homes you have, the more homes that are going to be sold. Let's look at sales activity by price or by size of home. A little bit at the lower end from that $275,000 to $400,000 range. We are seeing sales that are very healthy. I think a lot of people pay cash in that price range. The same thing at $700,000 and above, we see more people pay cash in the higher price ranges. The middle here is where we see more mortgages being taken out, and I think because of the interest rates, we've seen a very flat market in that medium price range. So here's the number of days to sell, and you can see that the moving average continually moves up. So it is taking longer and longer to sell homes here. We had a brief dip here in the last 6 months, so the average days to sell is coming down a little bit. But overall, almost like the number of homes that are selling in the villages, the number of people who are going to be putting their house on the market is going to continue to increase because there are more homes, and this may continue to increase, which is good news for buyers. This is just a data anomaly. I think there was a couple homes that actually sold in this time frame that had been on the market for a few years. That's why you see this big spike there. These couple of slides just indicate here's the size of the market of people who want updated homes. The number of updated homes on the market is really small. So homes that are updated, because there's a larger market, do tend to sell much faster if they are priced correctly. If you have an updated home that's on the market and it hasn't sold, it's probably because the price is too high. Now the converse is true as well. The number of people willing to put sweat equity in, willing to buy a house that needs updating is really small here in the villages, but the amount of inventory is huge. So the homes that need updating, which is a majority of them, will stay on the market a little bit longer. Let's take a look at, I put this in here to kind of show you something pretty interesting, is that if COVID had not happened, okay, this is pre-COVID, this is how fast homes were appreciating in price. If COVID hadn't happened 4 or 5 years ago, we would be at where we are, the pricing right now. Okay, so just with normal. And it almost looks like it bounced off this support line. So that I think we're starting to get into normal appreciation in the area. So I blew up the scale on the left-hand side over here so you can kind of just see a little bit more what's happened. Over the last year, we have seen pricing really start to dip. And then over the last 3 months, I won't say it's recovering, but it is definitely leveled off. And this is what I was talking about when I said the market was leveling off, is that little spot right there. All right, this is the other thing we talked about, original price to sales price. So what did they originally ask for the home to selling price? And we'll see that's continued to tick down here. I didn't update it, but it's pretty much, that's leveled off with pricing as well. But we're still 8 to 9% higher on the original asking price than what the homes are actually selling for on average. Really, if you want to sell your house, is you price it down here already versus versus trying to get a premium for it. Which is, you can try to get a premium for your home all day long, just know that it might take longer to sell. All right. Other factors that we're seeing in the market, and these haven't changed in 6 months, we bought new. New home sales are happening at a record pace. Eastport is taking shape. It is beautiful. People go down and fall in love with the Eastport and the promise of the area. We are still seeing people at a higher percentage than normal put their homes on the market within a year or two when they buy down in that newer area. While all the amenities are there, none of the conveniences are. So what we hear all the time is, I'm sick of being in my car. All I do is seem to hop in my car and run errands all day. While that new area is technically connected to everything else in the villages, it's not practical to use your golf cart down there to go run errands and do your day-to-day stuff yet. It's probably going to take another few years for grocery stores to catch up down there and other conveniences like medical facilities to catch up. All right. The other thing we're starting to see a lot, we need to sell our house first. I got buyers who come down and go, all right, let's make an offer. And will they take a contingency? And the answer is, if your house isn't on the market, the answer is no, they won't take a contingency. Even if your house is on the market, a contingent offer is much more likely to be accepted if your house is under contract already. Okay, so I would not anticipate trying to come down here and say, wow, I found this house. Will they take a contingency on us selling our house? And the answer is probably not. So I hear this a lot more lately for some reason. It just seems like every buyer that's coming into town hasn't even put their house on the market, and they need the proceeds from that house in order to buy something down here. Okay, I hear this. We're waiting for interest rates to come down. We're uncertain about what's happening with inflation and some of the government programs. And again, I just said that nervous about inflation. Interest rates, just because that will affect the market quite a bit. And you'll see that interest rates now are hovering around just north of 6%. Even though they continue to chip away at the prime interest rate to the banks, the mortgage rates really have not followed suit with those prime interest rates. The banks are holding their numbers so they can make a little bit more profit at this point. All right, just a quick summary of the presentation. The market does seem to be leveling off. Pricing has leveled off. Inventories have leveled off. A little bit of an unknown coming into January. I do have a lot of clients who are looking to put their house on the market in January, waiting for that busy season. So I do anticipate a spike in the market in the amount of inventory. We'll see how that affects things. I do believe the middle of the market, that $400,000 to $600,000 range, has been very flat. That's been very flat because of interest rates, in my opinion. So hopefully interest rates will continue to tick down. Hopefully the banks will finally pass those lower interest rates on to the consumer. Currently, they're just kind of holding on for that extra little bit of profit. And as I always, finish up with a little bit of housekeeping. If you'd like a copy of my free 42-page guide, Buying and Selling a Home in the Villages, or my comprehensive cost of living calculator, you can email me right here at davemontesales@gmail.com, and I'll send you out your copy. I hope you found this informative. Hope to see you around the villages. Take care.